They won't stop lying to us, and they are preying on people. What I saw today made me really angry, and I wanted to share this with you. Just before we get into it, 2 quick housekeeping things. I've got a goal to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help to do it. Would you please do me a massive favor, smash the like button, and also check if you're subscribed. If you're not, please smash that subscribe button too. Thank you very much. The other thing is, I'd love to have you on to share your carnivore story. All you need to do is send me an email to realzerocarb@gmail.com. I'll get back to you. We'll work out a time that suits you and we'll have a chat. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Remember, that's realzerocarb@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Okay, I saw this tweet today by Michael Greger and it made me so angry because he's just preying on the lack of information people have about nutrition to get his point across, to prove he's right. And so let's have a look at it, right? So he says in his tweet, insulin doesn't work as well on a high-fat diet, like a ketogenic one. Our bodies are insulin resistant. As the amount of fat in our diet gets lower and lower, insulin works better and better. Okay, so the average person reading that, and whether they're a follower of Michael Greger or not, they say, okay, well, this guy is a doctor. And as a doctor, I should pay attention to what he's saying. And he's saying, if we have a high-fat diet, I'm on a low-carb diet. I've just tried this carnivore diet thing. Hang on a second. If you're on a high-fat diet, our bodies are normally insulin resistant. So if I keep going on this high-fat diet, then the insulin is not going to work as well as it normally would. So that means I could be setting myself up for diabetes. Hang on, I better read on to this tweet. All right, so the image he's got here. We've known for nearly a century, have we, Michael? We've known for nearly a century that a high-fat diet can double blood sugar reactions to the same carbohydrate challenge within a matter of days. Again, he's not giving you all the information here. How many people on a low-fat diet are consuming loads of carbohydrates? So the information that Michael is presenting here is kind of disingenuous, and it's disingenuous for a reason. It's disingenuous for the same reason that Neil Barnard says that fat causes diabetes, right? So I decided, okay, well, I'm going to follow this link. So I'm going to go, okay, Michael, I trust you. I'm going to have a look at what you say. Okay, now led me to this video here. I'm not going to show the video because I don't want Michael Greger saying, hey, you showed my video and that's copyright and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want a copyright claim from him. We're going to start from here. We're just going to read a short part of this, right? So when insulin attaches to the insulin receptor, it activates an enzyme, which activates another enzyme, which activates 2 more enzymes, which finally activate glucose transport, which acts as a gateway for glucose to enter the cell. So insulin is the key that unlocks the door into our muscle cells. Interesting. Okay, so insulin is a key. What if there was no insulin though? Well, blood sugar would be stuck out in the bloodstream, banging on the door of the muscles and not able to get inside. And so, with nowhere to go, sugar levels would rise and rise. What could be the solution to this? I wonder. Michael's solution, I bet I know what it is. It's stop eating fat. But there's probably a simpler solution than that. All right. That's what happens in type 1 diabetes. The cells in the pancreas that make insulin get destroyed, and without insulin, sugar in the blood can't get out of the blood into the muscles, and blood sugar rises, okay? But there's a second way we could end up with high blood sugar. What if there's enough insulin, but the insulin doesn't work? The key is there. We've got the insulin key, but something's gummed up in the lock. What could be gummed up in the lock? We're drawing nice pictures in the unsuspecting person's mind here. This is called insulin resistance. our muscle cells become resistant to the effect of insulin. What's gumming up the door locks on our muscle cells, preventing insulin from letting sugar in? Fat. What's called intramyocellular lipid, or fat, inside our muscle cells. Fat in the bloodstream can build up inside the muscle cells, create toxic fatty breakdown products and free radicals that can block the signaling pathway process. So no matter how much insulin we have out in our blood, it's not able to open the glucose gates and the blood sugar levels build up in the blood. Okay, and so, that's going to go on and say, okay, well, you get diabetes, right? This mechanism by which fat, specifically saturated fat, induces insulin resistance wasn't known until fancy MRI technologies were developed to see what was happening inside people's muscles as fat was infused into their bloodstream. And that's how scientists found that the elevation of fat levels in the blood causes insulin resistance by inhibition of glucose transport into the muscles. And this can happen in just 3 hours. One hit of fat can start causing insulin resistance, inhibiting glucose uptake after just 160 minutes. Okay, so let's take the temperature down a little bit, Michael. I mean, I'm assuming that's the state he was in when he was writing this. But let's just take the temperature down a little bit, right? So let's say you've consumed a lot of saturated fat. Let's say you've just eaten a steak with a lot of saturated fat on it or whatever, and you've had some cheese and you've had some butter and maybe you've had some chicken skin or whatever, right? And so your body is all gummed up with fat, right? And then you start eating carbohydrate. You start eating sugar. You start drinking Coca-Cola, or you start eating cereal or something like that. Or, you start eating some kind of grain or some fruit or something like that, right? And now you've got sugar in your bloodstream, and the sugar is floating around there, and insulin's going, well, nothing I can do. The fat's gumming up the door. I can't get rid of you. You're just going to have to float around here, I'm afraid. So Michael's solution is don't eat fat, therefore the door is not locked, therefore insulin can take that sugar from the blood, push it into the cells or into the muscles or wherever it's got to go. That's Michael's solution. The other thing you could do is not consume carbohydrate. There is no issue with consuming saturated fat. The body runs very well on saturated fat. So you could just stop consuming all the carbohydrate, problem solved. I feel like Michael's idea is kind of like buying a brand new car, driving it off the lot and getting it home, taking out a gallon of battery acid, pouring it into the gas tank, and of course, the gas tank, you just bought the car, they filled it up for you. So the gas tank is full. So after a little bit going into the gas tank, that battery acid starts flowing out onto the floor and running down the car and destroying the paintwork. Michael getting really angry and calling the car salesman and saying, hey, what's going on? There's gas in the gas tank, and I can't pour battery acid into the tank, and so it's ruining the paintwork on the car when it flows out of the gas tank because the gas tank's full. And so you shouldn't have filled up the gas tank with gas. Idiots. Firstly, why are you pouring battery acid in there in the first place? Second, you won't ruin your paintwork if you just don't pour battery acid into the car and down the side of the car. So Michael Greger and everyone else, stop preying on people. Stop trying to make out that the problem is saturated fat. The actual problem is sugar. The actual problem is carbohydrate. And if you want to see how we got here, check out this video next.